You're watching Sunday Sound Off with Frank Boal.
Okay, welcome back to Sunday Sound Off for our first hot topic of the night. Chiefs, Steelers, who you got? Tim?
1993. I know it was a long time ago, but the Steelers.
I said, who you got?
The
It's
Steelers,
all about Tim. It's always about Tim.
No, but I'm going to give you a little bit more than just we beat the Steelers that game. But remember, earlier in that season, we played the Buffalo Bills, and we beat them pretty handily here at Arrowhead on a Monday night. One of the loudest I've ever heard that stadium. People were pumped up. People were excited. It was a great game. And then we went to their place in the playoffs and got our butts kicked by Buffalo. I thought that team went in with the idea that we can kind of go in and do the same thing that we did earlier to Buffalo, and it was a whole different game, a whole different atmosphere, just a whole different setup. So I like the Chiefs in this game. I like the Chiefs being at home. If this was going to Pittsburgh, I wouldn't feel as good about it, obviously. But going into Arrowhead, the one thing I'm going to tell everybody is, hey, make sure you go out. If you don't have tickets, go find tickets, because I don't want a lot of the blue and gold and the terrible towel being waved at Arrowhead Stadium.
All right, Sam, what do you got?
I can't get past this Le'Veon Bell against a team that struggles against the run and without Derek Johnson. I can't get past that. Everything else, I think, leans in the Chiefs' favor. Actually, I think Tim makes a good point about the rematch thing. I actually think the Chiefs have a little bit better chance because that game happened on October 2nd, 43-14. I know that's probably, counterintuitive for a lot of people, but I think the Chiefs are a lot better, a different team in a lot of ways. Tyreek Hill, probably most prominently. But I can't get past how the Chiefs are going to stop Le'Veon Bell. I just don't know how that's going to happen.
Saran?
I'm trying to figure out, does Tim have Notre Dame coming to Arrowhead or something? What is the blue and gold? Who the hell's playing in this game? Black and gold. Black and gold, Tim.
Black and gold.
Blue and gold. That being said, other than that part of Tim's dementia, I do like his analysis. I think he's absolutely right. I think Pittsburgh's set up to be overconfident in this. There is something to be said for that team that gets to play the week before, getting a chance to keep it rolling. And are you knocking off some rust? That certainly hasn't been the case for Andy Reid. He's been very good with teams that have had the bye week, so I don't think there's anything to see there. And I think Pittsburgh just had an easy win over the Miami Dolphins. They crushed the Chiefs the last time. So I think they do come in here feeling really good. Look, the run game is a problem. But generally speaking, I think you can do some things to slow it down. And I think the Chiefs are a very different team than they were in those first four games. Andy Reid is very different once he gets into the second, third, and fourth quarter of the season. First quarter is always a little bit slow. Bob Sutton's got a lot to prove in this game. And yes, I don't like Derek Johnson being there. But look, in this game, you're asking us to pick it. Picking it's more like betting it than it is coaching it. And one of the things when I hear people just jump onto one thing that on the coaching standpoint, this is it and this is the part that they can't handle, it usually blows up in their face. I think the Chiefs offensively will be a lot better in this game than they were the last time. They're not going to cough the football up, which was really the story of that game. So I like the Chiefs, and I like the Chiefs by double digits.
Oh, my gosh.
There you go.
Seriously?
What's the point?
You have a fever?
What's the point? You want to bet?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Hey, you remember you're talking to a Pittsburgh guy here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled.
Okay.
I'm thrilled.
All right,
Bring it
here's
on,
our
Frank.
second hot. I'll be on with that bet. Here's second hot topic of the evening. How would a Dorsey-Reid breakup affect the Chiefs moving forward? In case you haven't heard the story, John Dorsey being sort of courted by the Green Bay Packers. Ted Thompson might step aside in Green Bay. John Dorsey came from the Green Bay Packers, and that's where he started to learn the whole system. They love him up there. Sam, what do you think? Would it, moving forward, is it going to be bad for the Chiefs or?
First, I want to mention that Saran doesn't like that Derek Johnson's going to be there on Sunday.
I didn't call him out.
The next mistake is mine, guys.
You didn't get a chance yet.
I know.
Mine.
To be little is to be little. Remember that.
I'm trying to let it slide, and you won't bring it up. That's all right. Go ahead.
All right, I owe Sam one.
I think next mistake is mine. Be patient. I think this is a big deal. And if, look, he's not gone, right?
Right.
And all that. But John Dorsey could have shot this down easily,
yes.
Without his name attached to it 100 different ways, and he didn't. And maybe he's super focused on Sunday. Maybe he's sticking to a policy about, I'm not going to talk about this until our season's over or whatever. But I think this would be a big deal for the Chiefs. The GM is kind of removed. I don't know how often fans think about the GM, but that is a really good simpatico that John Dorsey and Andy Reid have. They work really well together. Yep. They like each other. They complement each other. Compliment with the E, not with the I. They work well together that way. I think this would be a big deal, even though the Chiefs do have a guy that they could slide right in there, and Chris Ballard. who I think would do another. He would be great too. He was a big part of why they drafted Marcus Peters in the first round a couple years ago. I mean, he knows his stuff, but losing John Dorsey, I think, would be a problem for the Chiefs.
Soren?
Well, look, it ain't my money, so give him whatever he wants and keep him. I mean, that's the easy part. We know they're having success here with John Dorsey and Chris Ballard. What we don't know is what goes on behind the scenes. Is Ballard the guy finding all the talent? Chiefs have 4 All-Pros this year. 3 of them were drafted by this regime. But again, who is that guy? And I think right now we're all caught up in the fact that they've got to bye. They're in the playoffs, so we assume everything that's been done has been correct. But that's really not the case. They're carrying $4 million of dead cap money from Tom Bahali's botched contract ending at the end of last year. They lost a 3rd-round pick for tampering with Jeremy Maclin. They threw away a 3rd-round pick on Kavari Russell. They got a huge contract on Alex Smith with I don't know, middling returns on that. Justin Houston could have been signed a year earlier and for $40 million less than they ended up getting him signed for. I think John Dorsey's done a very good job. There's no doubt the Tyreek Hill picks is a very good one. Kelsey in the 3rd is a very good one. But there's also some mistakes. So, look, if he does end up moving on, then I think you've got to assume that there's some people, and maybe Andy Reid in particular, that think that they can be just fine without him. So I think this one's a little bit stickier and a little harder to put your finger on than it may look at first glance.
Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Soren. I think there's some really talented people working under John Dorsey right now. I know that John Dorsey does get along very well with just about everybody in that organization. He's a great guy to have around. He's got a great eye for talent. But you know what? The Green Bay is the place where Kansas City chief executives go to die. So I mean, it's just been part of the trend over the years. But John Dorsey's done a wonderful job. One of my favorite stories about John Dorsey is, just watching him watch the other team warm up. He doesn't watch the Kansas City Chiefs. He can care less about the Kansas City Chiefs. And I asked him one time, what are you looking for? He said, I'm looking for the talent that may fall through from these other teams and bring them here. And he's been able to do that. He's got a great eye for talent. But I think he's taught a bunch of people in that organization and under him how to do that. And I think we'll be okay if he does leave.
Okay, and our final hot topic, we're going to switch to baseball here real quick. Gerard Dyson traded. What kind of effect will that have on the Royals team chemistry? Soren?
Well, I saw something in the paper today. I don't know who wrote it. Some banker-looking guy put some piece out there about Dyson and talked about the relationship between Dyson and Eric Hosmer. And I think that's of note. I think it was a very good point by, I think it was Sam, that they're good friends. And I think that does, that sitting around singing Kumbaya and that good feelings and good times and all the yucking it up. I mean, that's going to take a shot with this, because he was definitely right in the middle of that group that Dayton Moore wanted to bring to the big leagues together, and Dyson was definitely a part of that mix. From a baseball standpoint, though, it's amazing. You go to some of the advanced metrics, it says he's the best position player on this team. The eye test says no. Look, I like the trade from a baseball standpoint. I think the question's a good one, because I think from the standpoint of 4 years of control with a pitcher that can get more than a strikeout per inning, I think you got to do that when you give up 1 year of control on Gerard Dyson, a guy who I believe is a 4th outfielder. And if Seattle thinks they got a leadoff guy and an everyday center fielder, that 191 batting average they see in June is going to have them think otherwise. But I think the chemistry is the real question here, and it's the first big test for the leaders in that clubhouse to move on without their little buddy.
Grunies, remind you of anybody in Chiefs locker?
Yeah, absolutely. This was Kevin Ross, reincarnated for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kevin Ross was the guy who came in and made everybody feel comfortable. He can crack on you. He can get you, tease you, but he also can bring you up and get you excited about being around. And these guys are with each other so much, and Dyson is that guy. He's the guy who can go in that locker room. He can cut you down a little bit. He can tease you, but it's all in good fun. And these guys are with each other so much. I mean, they're with each other more in their families. They're on the road together. That clubhouse is like just a big fraternity. And when you lose a guy like that, chemistry-wise, it hurts. I'm not sure if it really hurts him per se on the field, but I think chemistry-wise, I think Sam's exactly right when he mentioned in his article today that that there's a lot of guys who are really close with Dyson, and it's going to take some time for these guys to kind of get back into the sync of things.
Yeah, Sam, you wrote about it in Kansas City Star.
I love taking credit for this, but it was actually Vahe that wrote it.
Well,
maybe the beard is
that? It was pretty good.
Yeah, we look a lot alike. No, I think I agree with everything that people have said about this being a really good baseball trade. Like the Royals had to do this. They're trading a 4th outfielder for a guy that can either be a 5th starter or maybe a bullpen piece down the road. They absolutely had to do this. But I think it's a big deal in that clubhouse. The Royals' rise has been built so much on chemistry and on these guys getting together. These guys have memories of riding the buses in the Texas League and in Burlington and all these different places. And those things are real. Dyson is not just close with Hosmer. He's really close with Gerard Dyson. He's really close with a lot of these guys. Normally in baseball, you cannot have that big of a presence in a locker room when you're a fourth outfielder, when you don't play. But Dyson kind of bent the rules in his favor. And it's going to be one thing that's interesting, too. A lot of people are wondering if Mike Moustakas, Eric Hosmer, some of these guys are going to sign in Kansas City because they like it here, because they like the team. This is a sign from management that this is a business. And if people thought that Mike Moustakas and Lorenzo Cain and all these guys were going to give hometown discounts, the Royals are showing that it's a business, and I think the players are probably going to do the same in the offseason.
All right,
what
gentlemen.
did Sam write then if he didn't write that one? What'd you do this morning?
Not much. He didn't do a whole lot. All right, up next, we're going to get some final thoughts, hopefully, from the panel. If we have any time left.